The strange, twisted case of Bobby Dunbar, the boy who vanished in 1912, reappeared as a whole different person. On August 23, 1912, Percy and Leslie Dunbar went for a fishing and camping trip at Swayze Lake in Louisiana.
What should have been a lovely family outing, catching fish, and enjoying the scenery, would end up being a tragic mystery that went down in history as one of the most bizarre unsolved mysteries. After some time at the lake, parents Leslie and Percy Dunbar noticed one of their 3 children was nowhere to be found. They didn't immediately panic, but after some time, they began to fear the worst. Hundreds of volunteers, local, and eventually state police began a massive search for the 4-year-old boy. His footprints seemed to vanish at the lakeside, making them fear he had fallen in and drowned or worse, was eaten by a gator, as they were seen regularly at Swayze Lake. Officials began throwing dynamite into the lake hoping to blast his body to the surface, and even dissecting alligators.
Eventually, an article of Bobby's clothing was found, a good distance from the lake, leading them to believe that perhaps little Bobby had been abducted instead. Rumors of a strange man being seen the day of his disappearance fueled the theory.
For 8 months, the police searched for him until they located a boy they thought was Bobby in Mississippi. The boy was with William Cantwell Walters, who they then arrested and accused of kidnapping. Walters denied that the boy was Bobby Dunbar and said he was actually Bruce Anderson, the son of his friend Julia Anderson. Julia also confirmed that the boy was her son Bruce and not Bobby Dunbar. Depending on which reports from the time are to be believed, the Dunbars and their younger son Alonzo recognized Bobby immediately or took him in overnight and confirmed he was their son after giving the boy a bath. Police also provided Julia the chance to identify the boy. She had not seen the child in 13 months. Although she said she only gave him to Walters for a 2-day trip. She defended Walters, even though either side of the story was sounding like kidnapping. Julia Anderson did eventually identify the child as her son Bruce. However, a judge found that the child was Bobby Dunbar and gave custody to Percy and Leslie. At this point, the Dunbars were fully confident that the child was Bobby. He had returned home and acclimated well, was playing with his brothers, and showed signs of remembering things at the house. He was beginning to get very comfortable in the Dunbar home. Walters was convicted of kidnapping and spent 2 years in prison for his crime before his attorney appealed. Due to the cost of the first trial, the court declined to try him again instead of releasing him. Until the end of his life, he maintained his innocence in the case. By now, it seems that everything was well and good. Bobby had been reunited with his family and was adjusting well. He grew up and got married, eventually having 4 children of his own before his death in 1966. Though he had been told of the events that had happened during his childhood, family members recounted that he always maintained that he knew who he was and that he was Bobby Dunbar. Then in 2004, Bob Dunbar Jr., son of Bobby Dunbar, consented to a DNA test. His daughter, Margaret Dunbar Cutright, had been investigating the events and wanted to prove once and for all that her grandfather was Bobby Dunbar. The DNA from Bob Dunbar Jr. was compared to the DNA from his cousin, the son of Bobby Dunbar's younger brother. The test was conclusive. Bob Dunbar Jr. was not blood related to any of the Dunbar family. The boy the Dunbars had claimed as Bobby Dunbar all those years ago was, in fact, Bruce, son of Julia Anderson. The Anderson family was thrilled as they felt the test vindicated their claims. The Walters family as well was overjoyed, as the evidence exonerated the kidnapping claim against William.